Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Views and News, and I'm Faisal Rahman live from our Islamabad studios. Today we'll be talking about a man from India. Everybody is very much familiar with this name, Commander Kulbhushan Yadav. Yes, I'm talking about the spy who was working for the Raw and Analysis Wing. Primarily, he was caught in the province of Balochistan, and he had a whole network to destabilize Pakistan, primarily Karachi and certain areas of Balochistan in KPK. So he had a huge network, and he was financing the terrorists, he was training them, and eventually he was caught. He confessed. It's been almost 4.5 years that the case has been into the International Court of Justice as well as the Indians. Well, we have asked the Indian spy that he can have access to the Pakistani lawyer. They can always talk about it, and even if you remember that the wife of Kulbhushan Yadav and the mother of Kulbhushan Yadav also visited the Foreign Office where they met the spy, and even the government of Pakistan has said that we can give access to his father also in order that those two can meet. But now he has turned down all the offers of the Pakistani government. So we'll be primarily talking about that. Before I introduce you to our guest, let's see what the DG South Asia had to say. Let's have a listen.
On 17 June 2020, Commander Yadav was invited to file a petition for review and reconsideration of his sentence and conviction. Pakistan also offered to assist in arranging legal representation for Raw Agent Commander Yadav. Exercising his legal right, Commander Yadav refused to file a petition for the review and reconsideration of his sentence and conviction. He instead preferred to follow up on his pending mercy petition.
All right. Now, the DG South Asia also mentioned about the kind of offers Pakistan has given to the Indian spy Commander Kulbhushan Yadav. Remember, this man is a serving naval officer in the Indian Navy, yet he was assigned this particular task. But Pakistan, because Pakistan always plays by the rules, we have said that whatever immunity or sort of support can be given to him regarding the access, yes, we have given. And let's see what sort of an offer was given to him.
Pakistan has repeatedly written to the Indian High Commission inviting it to file a petition at the Islamabad High Court and initiate the process for review and reconsideration of the sentence and conviction of Commander Yadav before the deadline. I wish to reiterate here that being a responsible sovereign state, Pakistan is fully cognizant of its international obligations. Pakistan remains committed to implementing the judgment of the ICJ in letter and spirit. It is hoped that instead of using its usual dilatory tactics and playing politics over the issue, India will follow the due legal course and cooperate with the courts in Pakistan to give effect to the judgment of the ICJ.
So, the international obligations, when we talk about the international obligations, Pakistan has done all they could have done by a book, by law. Now, to throw further light on this particular issue, we'll be talking to Lieutenant General retired Raza Muhammad Khan Saab, who's a senior analyst. Sir, thank you very much for taking out your time, sir. We'll also be talking to Syed Muhammad Ali, who's a foreign affairs and defense expert. Thank you very much, Syed Muhammad Ali, for your time as well. And we'll also be taking comments from Ambassador Shahid M.G. Kyani Saab, who's a senior diplomat. But first question to you, General Raza. I'm sure you have heard what the DG South Asia has said. Now, Pakistan has offered whatever they could have done. It's been almost 4.5 years. The man is convicted, he has confessed, and he is believed to be somebody who has been involved in killing of innocent Pakistani citizens. Now, first of all, your take on today's address by the DG South Asia, sir. Your take.
Okay, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, I think we need to first context of Mr. Kulbhushan Yadav. We need to remember that he is not only a spy, but he is an international terrorist. And this has also been now endorsed by the International Court of Justice. He has killed thousands of Pakistanis and he has injured again thousands of Pakistanis. Uh, I'm not talking of the damages that he has caused to Pakistan or the national interest of Pakistan or those of China when he was assigned to carry out sabotage and subversion, not only in Balochistan, but also in all our coastal areas, particularly in Karachi and against Gwadar. So when we are talking, of the human rights of one person, then we must not forget the human rights of all those thousands of people that this person has killed or he is injured. With respect to that, I think Pakistani response has been very appropriate, and in view of some, I think we have been so far over kind to him, over compassionate to him, and I think we have set an example of the respect of international laws and of the human rights of a person who has been the enemy of the state, but still we are offering him all the opportunities, all the legal opportunities, that he can avail. So I will fully endorse, what has been said by the representative of the Foreign Office. And I think that is the right sort of way to carry it forward, whatever he said. Also, we need to remember that the legal procedure, the legal process in Pakistan, we are absolutely clear about that, that the Vienna Convention, which the International Court of Justice mentioned, is absolutely not applicable to terrorists, to international terrorists. They may be applicable to spies, but they're not applicable to them. Even then, we respected the International Court of Justice's judgment, and I think we are acting upon that.
All right. Now, Ali, a very important point raised by Jalal Saab, that a terrorist, a killer, a person who has been involved, whether you talk about the killings of hundreds and thousands of Hazara community people, or you talk about, if you remember that huge bomb blast in the district courts in Quetta, in which so many lawyers, more than about 100 lawyers were killed, or you talk about the attacks on the military installments, or even the soft targets such as marketplaces. Now, this man was the mastermind who was conducting it, was getting it done through various other sources. He was involved in financing, he was involved in training, he was involved in executing such tasks. Now, this man who is a terrorist, now what is the basic problem? I mean, when Pakistan says that, well, you have an access, you can do that, but he is refused. I mean, what could be the possible reason for that? A. And secondly, a person like him of his caliber, a serving naval officer operating in another country and doing all this, I mean, then he should be taken to task. So what sort of issues is the government of Pakistan primarily facing regarding his execution?
Thank you, Faisal, for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay. I think it's a very important show. Compliments on the selection of topic as well. I think it's a national security issue for Pakistan of very critical nature. Like you rightly pointed out, and Jan Saab also mentioned that he's not just a spy, but he's also a terrorist. And he is directly responsible for conceptualizing, planning, coordinating, training, funding, organizing armed attacks against Pakistani armed forces, against Pakistani civilians, against the state of Pakistan, against the peaceful civilian citizens of Pakistan. So that is the first the most important aspect. The second is the legal aspect. Like you asked, why is he declining to review petition for reconsideration of his sentence? I think the motive that he has is that it is based on the Indian legal strategy not to present him at a Pakistani court in order to weaken the case in Pakistan. The legal strategy of the Indian side is that we will try to save him through International Court of Justice, although they have not succeeded in that, because you would remember the 17th July 2019 judgment also rejected the Indian appeal regarding his release. But the Indian legal strategy primarily hinges on trying to fight for his case at ICJ rather than in a Pakistani court. Why are they doing it? They are doing it because they do not want Pakistani law or Pakistani court to play a role that will tantamount to recognition of Pakistan's legal process as a due process, as a fair process, as a legal process which adheres to international obligation, which provides him all the rights that any criminal or terrorist is eligible and entitled as an individual in terms of legal support, legal counsel. So he is trying to save himself, although he will not save himself. But this is the Indian strategy, that they do not want Mr. Yadav, Commander Yadav, to participate in any legal process at a Pakistani court, because that will strengthen Pakistani case, that Pakistan has provided him legal counsel, his opportunity to defend himself, to prove his case in a transparent and legal manner. And this will weaken the Indian case, because if you read the verdict of 17 July 2019, it also said that Pakistan should provide India consular access. So in this period, Pakistan has done, like Jan Sahab rightly pointed out, all that any law-abiding state which adheres to international obligations, is a responsible state, is providing Mr. Yadav. That is the real motive.
All right. Now, that is a very important perspective. Now, looking at Jalsab, the verdict of Pakistan, obviously, whenever a spy is caught in another country, let's call that country an enemy country, then supposedly there's a case registered and then he is convicted. Now, the basic plea of the Indians, that is that maybe it was a biased case, he was not involved. Initially, they said that he wasn't even a part of RAW or was not even in Navy. I mean, but eventually, obviously, they couldn't prove it. Now, my point is, sir, that if the gentleman is not ready to take the excess of the lawyer, then what other options he has? Maybe if Pakistan doesn't allow at a certain level that, well, this man was convicted, what sort of hindrances do you see coming in Pakistan's way in order to execute or hang this man who was involved in killing of innocent Pakistanis? And we have a lot of proof. He has himself admitted all about all the wrongdoings.
I think I do not see any hindrance at all for Pakistan to take whatever legal action it wants to take. And I think the only option, again, to Kulbhushan is that the one which he has chosen. He knows that, opting for a mercy petition may be his only preferable option and no other option. So I think we should be very clear about that. Pakistan, I think when we got the transcript and, he accepted all his guilt, I think Pakistan had a number of options which it could exercise, and they could have been very aggressive options like a response in kind, anywhere in India, and we have the capability of doing that, but we did not do that. We are not India, we are a peace-loving nation. So what it can do now is actually to provide all these dossiers to the FATF, to ask them that we have all these proofs, and they should declare India as a blacklist rather than India trying to blame us. Pakistan, I think, in coordination with China and all the other 64 countries of the BRI, needs to share this dossier with them so that they know that India, through this person, was trying to hurt their national interests by attacking the CPEC. And I think they should all collectively pressurize India, punish India to prevent them from undertaking such actions against Pakistan in the future.
Now, General Saab, normally, for example, whenever there's a war, there are spies. I mean, you watch that in movies as well and otherwise in reality too. That if a spy is caught, I mean, the way he's treated, the way he's tortured, I mean, we have not witnessed anything of that sort. The man was fine, talking, enjoying tea, enjoying lunch, and was very casual. But now my point is, sir, that, for example, if this man who was caught, is it obligatory for a Pakistani or for any other government that if a spy of another enemy state is caught, you have to disclose?
Again, I think I will repeat what I had to say, that it is, different sort of treatment is meted out to spies only. And I think because this guy was a combination of a spy and he was more of an international terrorist, because he himself, in his confession, said that he has been using Iranian soil, he has been using the UAE soil, where money was transferred to him through Hundi and Hawala. So he's an international terrorist. But despite that, I think Pakistan has given him all the due legal process and conditions that are expected from any country of the world. And I think we have done whatever we had to do, and we needn't worry too much about whatever India is propagating and misleading the world about all this. We should be very clear that he is an international terrorist and that he is being punished according to the Pakistani law, which again, as I would say, that the International Court of Justice did not set aside the sentence given by the Pakistani court, whether it was a military court, whether it is a local court. So therefore, I do not see any hindrance, in the execution of this international terrorist or whatever other, legal courses are available to the government and the courts of Pakistan.
All right. Now, Syed Muhammad Ali, for example, if a person is caught who is a spy, but he is not a killer for that matter, he is not involved in any terrorist activities, maybe he is assigned to go take pictures or something. If that person is caught and another person like Yadev, who is involved in terrorist activities, who has admitted that as well, so the treatment would be different, or a spy is always a spy, there is no difference?
According to Geneva Conventions, spies are dealt in a different category. But I'll refer to my earlier response as well. The dilemma. Let's try to understand why India is doing what it is doing. What are the options that they have, and what should we be doing? I think the most important thing: the Indians are faced with a dilemma. Number one, like General Saab also rightly pointed out, because in order to get those rights, you have to first admit formally that you are a spy of X state, which has tasked you with a certain mission to sabotage or to eavesdrop or to carry out terrorist activities or whatever. Now, if Mr. Yadev confesses that he is a spy and he is on official duty, deployed here to sabotage Pakistan and to create discord, to promote sectarianism, and to create terrorism here, then he might be able to save himself individually according to Geneva Convention. But that will land India into trouble, because that will be the ultimate evidence for India that it is a state sponsor of terrorism which will have huge implications diplomatically, politically, economically, and strategically. So that is the dilemma, which is why India is, let me frankly and boldly tell you, is less keen on saving Mr. Yadav. They are more concerned about preventing Mr. Yadav from admitting in an international court of law or before a Pakistani court, which is why he has refused the review petition for reconsideration. That he is actually an Indian official in their intelligence agency who has been sent on a mission, because once he admits that publicly in a Pakistani court or before ICJ, then that will be the end of story. His individual life, frankly speaking, it may sound somewhat callous, is less important. Although he is responsible for the killing, planning of harming Pakistani citizens, of killing hundreds of people, that is very important. Justice must be done. But what is more important is the unemotional and national security responsibility to expose India internationally as the state responsible for spreading terrorism as a foreign policy tool, as part of its defense policy around the world. And that is the ultimate responsibility which we must fulfill. And
Absolutely.
just
Now,
to
Ali,
quickly
it's not
reiterate
only
on what
Pakistan
Musab
that is
said.
suffering uh, because of the Indian designs or their kind of approach. It's the entire region that is suffering. Whether you talk about the smaller countries, look at what is happening in Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives, for that matter. This even Bangladesh. The point is now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we have also
Only
been joined in
lastly,
by Ambassador Shahid MG Kyani Saab. Kyani Saab, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, Tina, I hope you are keeping yourself safe from COVID-19. Eh?
So far, so good, Kyani Saab. Thank God.
Good, mashallah, mashallah.
Now, Kyani Saab, now we were talking about this case of Kulbhushan Yadav. Now, Kulbhushan Yadav has refused to file a review petition. First of all, your take on this particular point, sir.
Look at, you see, first of all, try to understand that the International Court of Justice, in which they had, filed a petition, the Indian lawyers, they fought the case. If you look at the whole judgment, nowhere has the International Court of Justice, had said to overturn the case. No, they refused whatever the Indians had demanded. The only thing they had said, Article 36, which is access, Vienna Convention on Council Relations. And there are two Vienna Conventions, one diplomatic relations, one is council relations. That is council access. What they said that this council access may have been given, in a delayed manner. But the government of Pakistan later on gave access, and you could see his wife and his mother had come, and he was allowed to meet and talk to them. So this is something. Now, International Court of Justice does not say that overturn the conviction. The reason is that Yadav has admitted that he was a spy, and he's a spy. So what he's doing now is giving himself to the mercy of the President of Pakistan, which is the highest, level. First of all,
So
the
even in
government
this
has,
case, if this man is convicted and then he is sentenced to death for that matter, can the President of Pakistan, Arif Alvi Saab, give him
The
pardon?
President of Pakistan has the power to pardon him or to
Okay.
commute a sentence, but either of the case. But it depends on how the case goes to him. You see, the court, that case is yet to go. There's a reason. The reason is the government amended the law allowing him to file a petition, which is the 19th July is the last date on which he can file a petition. But the Indians will have to send a lawyer to us and to employ a Pakistani lawyer, and the lawyer will assist the Pakistani lawyer, because according to the local laws, the Indian lawyer cannot fight a case. Now, it looks like, my own opinion is, it looks like that Mr. Yadav may not, file a petition. He is refusing. The reason he is already admitted to the crime. He admitted to the crime.
But
being
Kyani Saab, what if he says that he was forced to sign the document in which there is conviction, or for that matter, he was pressurized, or maybe some other tactics were used, physical abuse or something of that sort?
My own take is, then he should file a petition, which he is not doing it. Because in the mercy petition, he cannot say that. In the mercy petition, he is leaving his life or death or whatever it is at the mercy of the government of Pakistan, represented by the President of Pakistan.
Okay.
On that case, here, since he has admitted, if he had any doubt that he was forced to sign that conviction or admitting that crime, then he would file a petition. He will fight this case, but he's not doing it. Even though he may be receiving some message or something, or the Indians may be sending him through the social media or whatever it is. I don't think so. You see, what has happened is the delay in the access was because the government of Pakistan or our agencies were interrogating and finding out. I tell you, it's a big crime which he has committed. You never know. Off and on you see in some cities they are catching hold of the terrorists because the network which he had established in this country was absolutely, believe it or not, undermined the very security of this country. So the crime which he has committed is no less. It's a very, very big crime. And I agree with one of my colleagues who was talking that yes, India's this crime India should be exposed. They talk about our terrorism, but they don't realize that what they have done, the network which he's established, and then Pakistan sacrifices the fight against terrorism. Second to none. Look at the armed forces people. Even when we are talking, you see in the tribal areas, the former tribal areas, or in some settled areas, our security forces are losing their lives every day. This is what the fruit of what he has done, Mr. Yadav. So he's now putting himself at the mercy of the President of Pakistan. I do not know what the government of Pakistan will do at that time. I am not privy to that. And the government of
It's been
Pakistan,
almost,
in his own wisdom,
he was
will
caught
make the
in
decision.
March, if I'm not wrong, 2016. It's been over 4.5 years now. So that's a very long time.
Yeah. Sorry?
So I'm saying he was caught about 4.5 years ago. So
Yeah.
4.5 years, that's a pretty long time.
Yeah. But I can tell you, if you look at the high profile spy cases all over the world, they take a very long time. And at times you see the two governments may decide in their own wisdom, or our government decide in wisdom to take a decision. But this is very normal. This is not something which we consider as it takes a long time, because the other thing is, sir, our security agencies have to be 100% sure that whatever he has shared is the full truth, and they have to unearth those networks which he has established. You see, these are not very small things which he has done. He was quite a senior person in the intelligence agency. He was he belonged to the Indian Navy. Then he was seconded to the RAW, and the RAW people sent him to commit this very, very heinous crimes.
All right. These are absolutely heinous crimes. Now, General Saab, if you remember, normally whenever we talk about the Indian presence in Pakistan or the Pakistani prisoners in India, civilian most likely sometimes they cross the border or maybe of a couple of other reasons, if they are sentenced. We have noticed that Pakistan has always returned them back after they have served their imprisonment. And then the moment they land inside India, their tone has changed, their whole stance has changed, and they become so anti-Pakistan, full of venom. And then their media projects that, whereas the Pakistani prisoners, there are so many cases, they have been beaten with bricks and iron rods, and they were killed inside the jails of India. So, I mean, this kind of an attitude, sir, don't you think now it's high time that we should also, reply in a very befitting way? And we should tell them that, well, if you will do this, we'll do this too.
I think I will tend to agree with whatever you are saying. There's a lot of contrast, the way we treat people, because of our regard for human rights. That is the basic difference between us and India, and we should not be like them. But I would urge, the Ministry of Law that Mr. Kulbhushan, they should understand that Mr. Kulbhushan is just a pawn, In his confessional statement, the transcript is there, everybody knows it. He had very clearly said that he was directed, by the Indian RAW chief, and probably the Indian RAW chief was directed by Mr. Ajit Doval to undertake all these terrorist activities against Pakistan. So I think we need to take these two people either to the International Court of Justice or to the International Criminal Court. for killing so many Pakistanis. I don't know whether we succeed in that or not. I think the lawyers community will be able to throw more light on that. But at least we must take this step so that a message is sent that Pakistan and the government of Pakistan and the people of Pakistan are aware of what the Indian leadership is thinking and what they're doing to us. The worst thing is that the terrorist activities both in Balochistan as well as in Sindh and Karachi and against the CPEC, they continue. This is not stopped. And therefore, it is a matter of grave concern for all Pakistanis, for the government of Pakistan, that they need to undertake all possible steps that deters the present Indian rulers from undertaking terrorist activities inside Pakistan and against its friends in Pakistan like China and others.
All right. That is something pretty important, General Saab. Now, Ali, when we talk about the sponsoring of terrorism, India is a country which is primarily sponsoring it. It's I would say, a country that has been supporting this. It's a country that's been financing it. And in the entire region, in particular in Pakistan. Now, we often hear that Indians are looking for a false flag operation inside the Pakistani territory. And they always find a reason for that. Last time when they tried to enter, and what happened after that, right, next day, that was something very interesting, exemplary as well. But currently it seems that India is trying to destabilize Pakistan no matter what, by all the possible resources. And that is something that has been claimed by their National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval. He said offensive defense. Now, what is that supposed to mean? Please tell our viewers that this statement actually meant that we will hit Pakistan where it hurts the most, inside our territory, and that is actually terrorism. Ali.
Faisal, we are in the middle of a very complex hybrid warfare. And all the elements of national power by India are being employed against Pakistan. Whether it's the lawfare, whether it's diplomacy, whether it's asymmetrical warfare, whether it's insurgency, whether it's economic strangulation, they are desperately trying to target Pakistan, weaken Pakistan, isolate Pakistan, strangulate Pakistan in all the spheres around the world. So we have to fight this war, not just kinetically, not just directly, not just conventionally. We have to prove equal to the challenge by offering a robust and very strong defense in all the domains, and taking the war, particularly in the psychological domain, particularly in the legal domain, particularly in the diplomatic domain, back to the Indians. We have to put the Indians on the defensive. General Saab will tell you, we talk about the asymmetry in conventional domain. There is no asymmetry in legal domain. There is no asymmetry in diplomatic domain. And there is no asymmetry in the conventional or psychological domain. And thankfully, in the last few years, thanks to Mr. Commander Yadev, the Indian reality has been exposed to the world. And that is something that we must exploit. And our scholars, our think tanks, our diplomats, our lawyers must internationally expose India, the reality of secular India, the reality of the facade of a vegetarian Hindu state, which is the largest democracy. That facade has come off. The gloves are off now. We must expose the Indian reality as a grave and rising threat to the international peace and security, not just for Pakistan only, not just for the region. Allow me, Mr. Faisal, only last week, we organized at our think tank, Institute of Policy Studies, an international webinar in which a Bangladeshi activist who was trained by RAW inside India confessed that it was a grave mistake to be used by India against Pakistan. And now Bangladesh has been turned into a proxy state by India. So he was regretting being used by the Indians. So, and he was warning all the states to not be fooled by the Indian peace overtures and also peaceful engagements and CBMs. The reality is the Indian objective is to hegemonize and dominate the region in the false myth of Hindutva. That is the reality. We must expose the whole world through intellectual means, through media, through think tanks, through our writings, and through knowledgeable experts like Janal Saab and anchors like yourself. This is a responsibility not just towards Pakistan's national security, but that's a huge contribution to the international peace and security. That the rise of India will be a grave mistake for the world, and all those who are harboring the false hope that India will one day contain China or will become a land of economic opportunity are misplaced. India is increasingly unstable. Its economy and politics is polarized, and the
That's
reality
true.
of their strategic character has been exposed by the Chinese only 2 weeks
Absolutely.
ago before the world. So even the Americans must need to recover from this false expectation that India will help contain China. That is not on.
I don't think that will ever happen. Obviously, one has to see the size of the dog too. The point is now coming to you, Kyani Saab. There are two options. For example, if this man is again declared a criminal, a terrorist, a killer, and the government of Pakistan or the court of Pakistan, whether it's the military court or the civilian court, actually says that this man is supposed to be hanged till death because he is involved in some heinous crimes in which a lot of killing took place. If that is done, and at the same time, let's suppose, as Pakistan has always been a good neighbor, Pakistan has always tried its level best to bring in harmony and peace, as a goodwill gesture, if Arif Alvi Saab, the President of Pakistan, pardons him, with the consent obviously, in both these scenarios, what difference will it make between the two countries, sir, Pakistan and India?
Let me first say to you, because I am not, as I said, privy to the international to the policies of the government of Pakistan at the highest level, but I have all my doubts that he will be pardoned. His
Will be pardoned?
death sentence can be commuted. The reason is the crime is such that pardoning him will send the wrong signals, because this is not the first and last. Spying has been one of the oldest professions, let me be honest, in the world. So spying goes on, carries on, but this one was a spying plus criminality of the highest level of terrorism. So I don't think maybe commuting is a death sentence. I have no idea for that, but I doubt very much that this will be pardoned. Rather, pardoning him will send the wrong signals. And I would let me share with you. The thing is that what has happened in 2016, I'm not surprised. The relationship between Pakistan and India has been very, very rocky. In the last 1 decade, I haven't seen such bad relations between two neighbors who are unable to coexist. That is the problem, coexistence. And India being a larger neighbor, a bigger country, I should have shown, large heart in reaching out to Pakistan. And such type of activities as you have seen of Mr. Yadav, I think these are things which I think the Indian government and the institution should be ashamed of, because you are spying is a different issue. But sending somebody to have a network of terrorism in the country and then blaming us for sponsoring terrorism, Pakistan, as I said earlier, has given one of the biggest what you call sacrifices in their lives and property of its security force and people against the fight against terrorism, and terrorism, a fight which continues till today. So let's hope that the Indians have learned their lesson, that they will not employ such people and send them and push them across our border. So let's hope that the Indians learn. And I just want to say one small thing.
Please go ahead.
I was reading the interview of the former foreign minister of India during this current India-China standoff, and he said that India is not getting the importance which it deserves as a big country. Meaning, I am just surprised. Look what you're doing with your minorities. You look what you're doing with the Kashmiris and IHK, with the Indian Muslims there, and then you expect that your human rights record is so bad that you should be given. For example, what we meant was a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council.
All right, thank you very much, Kiani Saab, for your comments. A quick comment from you, Jain Saab, and from you, Ali, as well, regarding one important point, and that is that when I read stories about Babri Masjid, for that matter, the way it was destroyed, and then the Hindu temple issue came up, and their court actually supported their idea of RSS. Over here, yesterday or maybe a couple of days ago, there was this issue of constructing of a mandir in Islamabad. The High Court of Pakistan, Islamabad High Court actually approved it, that go ahead with it. Now my point is, sir, Pakistan is a country which is accommodating everyone at its best level. Whereas when you go to India, extremism is something which is dominating everything. So, sir, when we say tit for tat, we aren't actually doing that. We are being too sweet. Jain Saab.
Well, I think I will tend to agree with you, and I think the whole world should by now realize who are the terrorists and who are the people, who have all kinds of respect for religions and for human rights. You made a mention, of the demolition of the Babri Mosque, and later on the handing over of that by the Indian Supreme Court, to the champions of Hindutva. I think this was noted by the whole world, and the rising Islamophobia in India is a matter of grave concern for the entire OIC. The world should again pressurize India, from stopping the oppression of the Indian Muslims. There is oppression. There are 200 million Muslims. They're all oppressed. They're being told, to leave India and to go to Pakistan. Similarly, there are more than between 200 million and 300 million low-caste Hindus or Dalits. They again are being oppressed. Their rights are being denied. They're the ones, they don't want to live with Hindus. Similarly, there are other, they need to understand that India has large number of vulnerabilities, and therefore they should stop, meddling in our affairs. They should stop, paying and patronizing about a dozen Baloch dissidents, and look at their vulnerabilities as well.
All right. Oh, last comment from you, Ali.
Faisal, I think Indian ideology has been exposed by its behavior. The shallowness of that ideology is being exposed before the whole world. That it is the mirror opposite of Pakistan. Pakistan offers peace, security, opportunity to all the minorities, whereas Indian philosophy and ideology rests on exploiting, isolating, and persecuting the minorities. So that is the reality which is coming to the fore, and it believes in a policy of destabilizing and interfering in the neighboring countries in order to dominate them. So it has no such qualms about peaceful coexistence. So anybody who believes that this region can be peaceful just by CBMs and peace processes with India should recover. Mr. Kulbhushan Yadav's deployment in this region, in this country, is an evidence of the Indian policy state policy to use terrorism against its neighbors. That is the most important reality which must be shared and exposed at all bilateral and multilateral forums around the world.
All right. Thank you very much, Syed Mohammad Ali. Thank you very much, Jalal Saab, for your participation in our program. And that's all we have for this hour. I'll see you tomorrow at 8, inshallah. Till then, you take good care. Long live Pakistan.